Welcome back to our channel. In the early months of the new millennium, the United States Mint was deep into production, its presses tirelessly striking the image of Abraham Lincoln into millions upon millions of copper-plated zinc blanks. The 2001 cent coin, otherwise unremarkable in the vast sea of Lincoln cents, rolled off the lines in the Denver and Philadelphia mints with rhythmic precision. There was no particular fanfare that year, no change in design, no centennial celebration, no immediate reason for a cent from that period to attract attention. Yet, quietly and without ceremony, something different emerged. Among the countless coins filling rolls and change jars, a handful bore an inconsistency so minute it escaped detection from even the most trained eyes for months. Not a doubling in the traditional sense, not an off-center strike, nor a clipped planchet. What began as a subtle anomaly in the spacing of two letters, seemingly innocent, would grow to shake the world of numismatics. In the bustle of a Pennsylvania flea market, beneath rows of aged buttons, costume jewelry, and milk glass plates, a man named Raymond McCall sifted absent-mindedly through a jar of pennies marked, "Take 5 for $1." A retired schoolteacher with a passion for small wonders and long-forgotten relics, he was drawn more by the joy of the search than the value of the finds. His fingers, rough and calloused from years of woodworking, rolled each coin across his palm, not expecting anything extraordinary. Then he saw it. The coin looked ordinary. 2000, Lincoln. The usual memorial reverse. But the word, America, looked odd. He squinted, pulling the coin closer to the weak light above his table. The letters A and M in America seemed unusually close, almost touching. He flipped through the others he had gathered. Every single one bore a wider space between those letters. That was the moment the heartbeat quickened. Back at home, he sat at his old oak desk and spread his modest collection out. He wasn't a professional. He didn't own a microscope or a digital scale. But he did have a magnifying glass, a copy of the Red Book, and a deep sense of curiosity. Comparing his new find to every 2000 cent in his collection, the pattern emerged unmistakably. It was as if the die used to strike that single coin had been altered, or rather, had borrowed something unintended from another template. He scribbled down notes, traced diagrams, and cross-referenced known varieties. The close AM phenomenon had been documented before, most notably in 1992, but for a 2000 cent. There was no official record, no entry, no mention in auction catalogs. And yet, here it was evidence in his hand. He didn't sleep much that night, word spread cautiously. He emailed a few seasoned collectors from online forums, carefully attaching photos and detailing what he saw. Most dismissed it initially. Many error reports are hopeful misunderstandings. But one reply from a Texas-based dealer named Louise Garvey changed everything. Her tone was measured, but curious. "I've never seen this on a 2000. If it's legit, you may be holding something very special." Over the following months, a slow verification process began. The coin was sent to an authentication service. Weeks passed. Then the call came. PCGS confirmed it a genuine 2000 close AM penny, the spacing between A and M narrower than the standard wide AM for that year. An accidental use of a proof reverse die on a business strike coin. A classic mix-up at the mint, the kind that could only happen in the chaos of high-speed coin production. But that was just the beginning. Collectors began scouring their change. The forums lit up. Videos emerged with clickbait titles speculating on fortunes hiding in plain sight. At first, few others surfaced. The rarity became more pronounced. Some thought perhaps only a single die pair had been used, maybe only one die set ever made it onto the press floor. Raymond watched as his quiet discovery transformed. The coin, once just an oddity, was now a numismatic enigma. Early offers rolled in $500, $700, then $1,200. He refused to sell. To him, it wasn't just about money. It was the story, the chase, the proof that something small and overlooked could still hold mystery In a world so thoroughly cataloged, auction houses began whispering, then shouting. In 2009, one appeared on the block and sold for $5,000. Another in 2012 brought $8,000. Then a spike $12,650 at a heritage auction in 2017. Demand was rising, but supply was barely trickling in. Some theorized that fewer than 20 examples might exist. Others believed the real number was even lower. The error itself wasn't flashy. It didn't grab attention like a dramatic misstrike or a broad strike. It was hidden in the negative space between two letters, a gap, or lack thereof, that told the story of a die gone rogue. That gap spoke volumes to those who knew what to look for. Minting errors like this happened when a proof die intended for limited, polished, high-quality coins was accidentally used on circulation coins. Proof reverses had the close AM configuration. Business strikes in 2000 were meant to have the wide AM. Somewhere in the mint's operations, that line was blurred. Then came the twist.I in 2021, a coin surface bearing the hallmark of a 2000 close AM, but with one bizarre feature. The initials, FG, beneath the memorial were nearly absent. Faint. Almost ghosted. A new variation within the error. Researchers were baffled. It hinted at a repolished die, or one that had undergone rapid wear. This coin had been struck late in the die's life, likely near the end of the run of the rogue setup. Now there weren't just close AM 2000s, there were ghost initial close AM 2000s. Theories grew wild. Had a rogue employee tried to cover their mistake? Was this an intentional test piece slipped into circulation? The mint remained silent, as it often does in such matters. Raymond's coin, the original discovery, became the reference specimen. Not because it was in the best condition, it was only graded MS-64, but because it was the first. The cornerstone. His name, modest and unassuming, was now listed in the registry sets and articles. The schoolteacher turned accidental legend. Over time, the price fluctuated. Peaks followed by lulls. As with all rare errors, excitement ebbs and flows. But the floor kept rising. The close AM 2000s that once sold for thousands now routinely cross five-figure territory. In 2024, an example in near pristine MS-67 condition fetched $19,800, the highest ever recorded. Yet whispers of private sales, off-auction, hinted at even greater numbers, and still, only a handful were known. Fewer than 15 certified. Some wondered if more lay undiscovered, stuck to the bottom of drawers or hiding in mason jars. The thrill, of course, wasn't just in owning one, it was in finding one. The idea that such a small clue, so easily missed, could hold such weight kept hobbyists on edge. But the true impact of the error reached further than auctions or registry scores. It altered how collectors approached common coins. The 2000 Lincoln set became a coin people actually looked at again. No longer dismissed as pocket change, it carried the potential for mystery. People began inspecting AM spacings with newfound reverence, flipping coins under light, comparing distances with precision usually reserved for surgery. For some, this created frustration. Thousands of 2000 cents bore no error, of course. But for others, it was magic. Every cent held the possibility of treasure. And in that, the close AM coin changed the game. Years after the discovery, Raymond passed away. His family, not knowing its full worth, kept the coin in a modest display box on the mantel. Not because of its value, but because of the handwritten note he'd left in the case. Proof that small things matter. The coin eventually made its way back into the numismatic world, sold privately to a major collector who promised to preserve the provenance. Its value, though immense in dollars, was richer in story. It was the origin piece. The first known 2000 close AM. It now rests in a temperature-controlled vault in San Francisco, its legend still growing. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint never officially acknowledged the error. No statements. No investigations shared. And that silence only deepened the intrigue. Like a ghost story without an author, the coin speaks for itself. Even now, the tale of the 2000 close AM cent continues to evolve. New specimens are rare, but when one emerges, it sends ripples through the community. They are tested, analyzed, and debated. Is this the same die? A second die pair? The mystery lingers. Some claim to have found one, only to realize they were mistaken. Others, quietly and with little fanfare, strike gold in the least expected of places. What makes the error so captivating isn't just its rarity, it's the subtlety. The kind of mistake that hides in plain sight, waiting for someone like Raymond to notice. A microscopic misstep that transforms the most ordinary of coins into a legend. A gap, barely a sliver of metal wide, that separates common from treasure. In the vast tapestry of American coinage, the 2000 close AM penny is a thread woven so thin, it almost disappears. But for those who know where to look, it gleams brighter than gold. In 2012, the U.S. Mint continued its march through the second decade of the 21st century with the same efficiency it had honed over 2 centuries. Millions of coins were struck that year, including an unassuming denomination most people overlooked, the humble 1-cent coin. It bore the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design largely untouched since 1909. But on the reverse, a shield replaced the Lincoln Memorial, a design first introduced in 2010 to symbolize the Union preserved. The 2012 Lincoln Shield cent was, by all official accounts, just another routine production. Billions were minted Philadelphia and Denver combined to produce over 5 billion that year alone. There were no commemorative announcements or ceremonial releases. It was a workhorse of a coin, created to do little more than keep the economy's smallest transactions flowing. But as the presses rolled and the coins clinked into bins, a subtle imperfection crept in, unnoticed by machines, unremarked by operators. Somewhere in Philadelphia, a die error formed. It wasn't dramatic. No dramatic misstrike or off-center press. Instead, the anomaly was hidden deep in the fine details of the obverse, where Lincoln's suit normally carried clean, sharp lines. Under magnification, however, there was an uncharacteristic blur near the shoulder, an extra impression, faint and ghostlike, yet undeniable. Collectors later dubbed it the 2012 double die obverse, and it was anything but ordinary. A young numismatist named Joshua Keene stumbled upon the error by pure chance. He was 27, a postal worker from Nebraska, who collected coins in the evenings as a way to decompress. He wasn't a high roller in the hobby. He didn't attend major conventions or auctions. He simply liked searching through penny rolls from local banks, looking for wheat cents, copper compositions, or the occasional oddity. One night in late autumn, as wind howled outside his small apartment, he sat beneath a lamp, flipping through his latest batch. He paused when one of the coins caught the light in an unusual way. It was a 2012 cent. At first, he thought the surface was damaged, maybe the coin had taken a hit or been rubbed strangely. But then he noticed the ghostly doubling on Lincoln's profile, specifically around the ear, jawline, and upper coat. He held it at different angles. The duplication was subtle, but precise. Not the sort of artifact created by circulation or post-mint damage. His heart picked up. He'd seen doubling before, mostly on older cents from the 50s and 60s. But not like this, and certainly not from a coin as modern as 2012. He posted images to a coin collector forum. Most replies were skeptical. Modern cents, after all, often exhibit worthless die deterioration, not true doubling. But one user, a retired grader from Florida, replied with cautious intrigue. "If what I'm seeing is legit," he wrote, "you may have stumbled on something undocumented. Where did you get this coin?" Over the next few weeks, Joshua became obsessed. He pulled more rolls, looked through hundreds of 2012 cents. He found one more with similar characteristics, but this one had weaker doubling, less clear than the first. Still, it proved something: the error wasn't unique to a single coin. A flawed die had been used in production, however briefly, and some coins had escaped into circulation. Professional graders were brought in. PCGS confirmed the find. A new double die obverse variety for the 2012 D Lincoln Shield Cent. It was subtle, yes, but real. The doubling, especially around Lincoln's ear and the edge of the jaw, was precise enough to warrant recognition. And more importantly, it was rare. To date, only a tiny handful had been submitted and authenticated. As news spread, interest bloomed. CoinWorld ran a small piece on the discovery. YouTube channels started dissecting Joshua's coin in slow-motion footage, comparing the microscopic shifts in detail. Other collectors began searching rolls feverishly. The U.S. Mint, as usual, gave no official comment. They neither confirmed nor denied the existence of a double die for that year. But the evidence was now public. Joshua's coin, graded MS66 by PCGS, was soon recognized as the discovery piece. Not just a curiosity, but a verified, catalog variety. Offers started coming in. At first modest, $300, $450, then $1,200. But as more coin publications covered the story, interest skyrocketed. One eager buyer reportedly offered $3,500. Joshua declined. It wasn't about the money, not yet. More 2012 D double die obverse cents were found, but only a handful. As of the most recent tallies, fewer than 30 had been certified in mint state grades. Most were in circulated condition, having already made their way into the world of pockets and cash registers before anyone realized their significance. The true number that still exists remains unknown, but it's clear the error had a very short production run. The nature of the error made it even more compelling. Unlike some high-profile mistakes that screen their presence with dramatic visuals, this one whispered. It asked for patience and observation. It rewarded attention to detail, not just luck. It reminded collectors that even in the modern minting era where technology reigns supreme, human oversight and the wear of machinery can still allow imperfections to pass through. Then, another layer emerged. In 2023, a collector from Ohio submitted a peculiar 2012 D cent to NGC. This coin displayed the same doubling as Joshua's, but with an additional twist and apparent die crack stretching from the rim to Lincoln's tie. The combination of double die and die crack suggested that the flawed die had been stressed during its short lifespan, deteriorating rapidly and possibly leading to its early removal from service. Numismatic scholars debated whether the crack added to the coin's value or simply illustrated the fragile nature of the die. But one thing was certain: it strengthened the rarity of the known error. A double die appearing in such a short production window, coupled with a deteriorating die, pointed to a unique moment in minting history that could not be replicated. Joshua eventually sold the original discovery piece. It was a difficult decision. He held on to it for nearly 6 years, watching its fame quietly grow. But when a prominent West Coast collector offered $14,800 for the coin in a private sale, he accepted. The money helped him pay off lingering debts, and he used part of it to start a small side business selling coin supplies online. His coin now resides in a climate-controlled vault, occasionally displayed at national conventions as part of an exhibit on modern die varieties. Meanwhile, the 2012 D double die obverse cent has earned a place in specialized Lincoln cent reference books and is considered one of the most elusive modern-era errors. Its value continues to rise, especially for high-grade examples. As of 2025, estimates suggest that a top-graded MS67 specimen could fetch upwards of $18,000 at auction, if one ever surfaced. But to those who know the story, the coin's worth goes far beyond numbers. It's a reminder that even in the most overlooked corners of modern currency, mystery still lurks. A reminder that discovery isn't always explosive or loud. It can be quiet, patient, and waiting beneath the surface. And sometimes, all it takes is a pair of sharp eyes and a sense of wonder to bring that mystery to light. In 2018, the United States Mint maintained its relentless pace, churning out coins by the billions with mechanical precision. The Lincoln Shield cent, still a relatively recent redesign, was entering its 9th year in circulation. The design was familiar: Lincoln's enduring profile on the obverse and a large Union shield on the reverse, a subtle nod to strength and unity. Most coins were produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, massive quantities meant for everyday commerce, tucked away in pockets, jars, and cash registers. Among these billions, nothing seemed out of place at first. The 2018 penny appeared, at a glance, just like any other year. A gleaming copper-plated zinc coin with no special commemorative status, no fanfare, no historic event tied to its release. But within this ocean of sameness, a sliver of difference slipped through, an imperfection not loud, but deliberate enough to leave collectors questioning what they were really looking at. In a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of Wichita, Kansas, a middle-aged man named Daniel Price sat hunched over his kitchen table under a single warm lamp. A collector since childhood, Daniel had never made the headlines of coin magazines, but his passion was unwavering. He wasn't chasing gold coins or bidding at heritage auctions. He worked at a used car lot and spent his evenings hunting coin rolls from the local bank. On a rainy Friday night, Daniel opened a fresh box of pennies and started sorting. Coin after coin passed through his hands: 2017s, 2016s, older copper ones he set aside, but then his fingers stopped. There was something different about the 2018 cent he had just flipped over. He leaned in, tilted the coin toward the light. Lincoln's eye didn't look quite right. A soft blur, a doubling perhaps, was peeking just beneath the eyebrow and around the nostril. The letters, Liberty, seemed unusually thick, slightly distorted. His first instinct was to dismiss it as dieware, the kind of deterioration common with overused dies. But something about this coin tugged at his attention. He pulled out his loupe and examined the date. The 8th had a faint but clear doubling at the upper loop. Then he shifted to Lincoln's collar, where a secondary outline clung just beside the original engraving. He wasn't sure what he was looking at, but it didn't feel accidental. Daniel posted photos online, expecting lukewarm responses or casual disinterest. But almost immediately, comments flooded in. Collectors started comparing notes, posting images of their own 2018 cents. Some had similar features: mild distortions around Lincoln's eye, extra thickness in the motto, and even what looked like a faint second impression on the date. What was first assumed to be isolated die fatigue began to look like a previously undocumented error. Eventually, a noted collector and error expert from Oregon requested to see Daniel's coin in person. Daniel shipped it off, hopeful but cautious. A few weeks later, the expert confirmed what Daniel had quietly hoped. The coin featured a genuine double die obverse, now designated as an early-stage example. The doubling was evident in Lincoln's eye, the inscription, "In God We Trust," and the date all clear enough under magnification, but subtle enough to have gone undetected by quality control. PCGS graded Daniel's coin MS65 red, calling it an intriguing modern variety with high-end clarity. That's when the phone started ringing. Articles surfaced in online numismatic blogs. Forums lit up with questions. How many were out there? Was this a Denver-only anomaly? Or had the Philadelphia Mint also released a batch? The uncertainty only fueled the chase. Over the next few months, more examples began to surface, mainly from the Midwest. The doubling appeared to have occurred during a short production run, possibly due to a misaligned hubbing process. While no official mint statement was issued, internal sources hinted that a die might have shifted during one of the maintenance cycles and was not replaced in time. The damage was done. A few thousand coins may have entered circulation before the error was caught. Collectors rushed to grab unsearched rolls from banks, convenience stores, and even vending machines. By late 2019, only a few certified examples had surfaced, all from the Denver Mint, further narrowing the hunt. And like wildfire, the market caught on. The first auctioned example, in MS64 red, sold for $2,300. A few weeks later, Another in MS-66 reached $4,750. Then a temporary lull as the novelty wore off, but the coin never truly disappeared from collector wishlists. In 2021, a twist deep in the story. A submission arrived at NGC. A 2018 descent with the same double die features Lincoln's eye, date, and inscription, but with a peculiar die chip on the reverse, nestled between the shield stripes. The chip was small, but sharp, forming what collectors began calling the speared shield variety. The coin had both errors, the classic double die obverse, and a reverse die chip likely formed in the same production window. That dual anomaly made it one of a kind. It sold quietly in a private sale for over $7,000, but word of it slowly spread, adding layers of intrigue to an already mysterious error. The 2018 double die was unlike flashy minting disasters. It didn't catch attention with off-center strikes or blank planchets. It was more like a whisper in the metal, requiring effort to uncover and patience to interpret. That subtlety made it compelling. It drew in serious hobbyists who knew what they were looking for and casual searchers who just enjoyed the thrill of a discovery. As of 2025, population reports indicate fewer than 60 certified examples of the 2018 D double die obverse cent. Most are in MS-64 or MS-65, with only 4 graded MS-66 read by PSGS and none higher. The speared shield reverse variant has never resurfaced. Its singular existence keeps collectors scanning both sides of their 2018 D finds, hoping lightning strikes twice. Daniel never stopped collecting. He kept one of his early finds and sold another for a modest sum. But the original, his first discovery, remains in his personal collection, stored safely, the coin that turned a quiet Friday night into a lifelong memory, the highest verified sale to date. An MS-66 red 2018 D double die obverse cent sold at public auction for an astonishing $13,900, solidifying its place among modern era